And that's our news for now. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock for CBS 4 News Tonight. Time now for Dan Rather.
Good night.
Tonight's headlines: U.S. Embassy attacked in Liberia. Marines move in. CBS exclusive: Iraqi guerrillas lay out their plans. Catholic cardinal spared criminal charges in sex scandal. Also tonight, new research on foods to eat to help protect you from Alzheimer's. Making ends meet. This woman used online begging to pay her bills. And the Tour de France. Look out, an American hero down. But is he out? Stay tuned.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. The next big challenge for U.S. military forces may be in Liberia. Pressure is building for President Bush to send in peacekeepers to help stop the civil war there. Scores of people were killed today in the Liberian capital. Mortar fire hit the U.S. Embassy compound, and Mr. Bush did send a small detachment of U.S. Marines to help protect it. Thousands more Marines on ships are moving closer to Liberia just in case. CBS's Richard Roth has the latest tonight on the chaos in Monrovia.
In Liberia's capital, in mortal danger and miserable weather, Marines flew in to reinforce security at the U.S. Embassy complex and to evacuate foreign aid workers and journalists. There is now no safe haven in Monrovia.
Thousands of people who have come here to seek shelter here. Now, these people today have, for no fault of their own, come under mortar fire.
One mortar round hit an embassy building, causing only damage, but more fell in a diplomatic compound across the street filled with Liberians. Witnesses say 25 people were killed there. Then some of the dead were dragged to the embassy gate.
There's lots of bodies there throwing rocks. They're screaming out. They are angry at the Americans. They're feeling very betrayed.
Betrayal and desperation are hallmarks of Liberia's 14-year-old bloody civil war. Rebels who now control most of the country are shelling a capital city jammed with refugees, civilians who left their homes to escape the fighting. Government troops have been looting what's left behind. Liberia's warlord-turned-president Charles Taylor can't afford to pay them. U.S. roots go deep in Liberia, a country founded by freed American slaves. But West Africans say the call for help isn't based on history or friendship. It's based on American power. Without it, they fear a war with no winners that's certain to spread. Richard Roth, CBS News, London.
For the U.S. military, even the prospect of another overseas deployment is an unwelcome development. American forces are stretched thin, very thin, around the globe, in Iraq, Afghanistan, South Korea, and more than 100 other countries. And as Bill Plant reports, the White House is reluctant to stretch them further.
Responding to the intensified fighting in Liberia, the Pentagon is moving a 3-ship amphibious group, 4,500 sailors and Marines, from East Africa into the Mediterranean, closer to Liberia. But sources tell CBS News President Bush is in no hurry to put these troops on the ground in Liberia. He wants them to go in as peacekeepers, not peacemakers. And as small as it is, the potential deployment in Liberia is just one more job for U.S. forces already spread thin around the world. Rhode Island Democrat Jack Reed, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, calls it a crisis and says it's time to talk about increasing the size of the U.S. military.
We are stretched very, very thin, very taut. They're magnificent soldiers. They'll continue to do their jobs, but we need other soldiers to relieve them of these burdens.
Members of the U.S. Armed Forces are currently deployed in 139 nations around the globe, and thousands still at home are on standby for trouble with North Korea. The largest concentration is in Iraq, where troops are now forced to stay longer, or like these soldiers from the 101st Airborne, leave home again almost immediately.
We've been gone almost 12 months. We spent 7 months in Afghanistan. We had a quick reprieve in the U.S. at Fort Campbell, about 22 days, and then we redeployed to Kuwait.
The U.S. military did not anticipate a long occupation of Iraq, and the shortage of troops only compounds the problem.
Right now, it is unmanageable, entirely unmanageable, and it's going to get worse for the active military before it gets better.
Troops from other nations would ease the situation in Iraq, but most countries are unwilling to send help except under the United Nations command. And increasing the size of the U.S. military collides with the politics of the budget deficit. So it will also be hard to play that card. Dan?
Bill Plant reporting live from the White House. In Iraq today, U.S. troops acting on a tip about Saddam Hussein raided a compound north of Baghdad but came up empty. Earlier in the Iraqi capital, a roadside bomb killed another American soldier and an Iraqi translator and wounded 3 other Americans. So who is behind these attacks? As CBS's David Hawkins reports in this exclusive report, it's not necessarily and always Saddam.
So these are the rocket-propelled grenades that you use to attack the American vehicles?
Yes, they are.
And how many of these do you have?
A huge quantity. Everybody has one.
In an exclusive interview with CBS News, 3 men who claim to have participated in several recent and deadly attacks on U.S. soldiers say they're not doing it for love of Saddam, but instead for God and their country. U.S. officials blame remnants of Saddam's regime, dead enders they call them, for the unending attacks.
Are any of you former Saddam loyalists? Work for the Saddam, love Saddam?
No, we just follow the instructions of the Holy Quran.
So this is a religious war, it's a holy war.
Yes, we are farmers, we are Iraqis. This is not about politics.
They claim to be the ones who attacked a military convoy last week west of Baghdad, an attack that killed 1 American soldier. We were led to these men by a Baghdad gun runner.
Why do you fight? Why do you attack American soldiers?
This is an occupation, so we fight against the occupation.
You're very upset that the Americans are here, but are you glad that Saddam is gone?
We feel happy now because we can speak freely, but at the same time we don't want Saddam or America. We just want the American soldiers to leave our country.
The Iraqi fighters chose this meeting place in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere really, because they feel safe here. They say they know this territory well, and the Americans don't.
All of them will die here. We advise them that they have to leave Iraq before they die.
Threats from these men won't frighten away anyone, but their fanaticism and fervor suggest they'll put up a fight for some time to come. David Hawkins, CBS News, in the desert west of Baghdad.
In neighboring Saudi Arabia, authorities report they have 16 terror suspects in custody now and are hunting for more. Saudi officials say the suspects were plotting to attack, quote, key sites. They did not give any details. The officials did say they also seized a big cache of weapons and phony identification papers. Also in Saudi Arabia, Idi Amin, the exiled Ugandan dictator, is reported in a coma and near death in a Saudi hospital. Idi Amin is about 80 years old. He was forced from power in Uganda in 1979, accused of systematically slaughtering thousands of his own people. Air crash investigators from the United States have arrived in Kenya. They're headed to the rough slopes of a mountain where an American businessman and 11 members of his family died in a plane crash. The aircraft hit Mount Kenya in bad weather